I suppose you have calculated your human design chart and now you wonder what all these arrows on the top mean. Well, then you're at the right place, because in this video we're going to explore the so-called variable, which are the arrows in your chart. If you don't know me yet, my name is Leandra. I'm a human design specialist and I also work in the holistic health field. And at the moment I have a Pisces offer, so every reading in March is only up for €122, a human design reading. So if you want to book a personal reading with me and get personalized guidance, check out all the links down below. Let's get started with today's video. So you have your chart hopefully in front of you, and if you look at your chart, you will see on the top there will be 4 arrows, and either they point to the left or they will point to the right hand side. Sometimes it is only in short on some charts, it will just say L for left and R for right. And these are so-called variables. So this is a deeper layer in human design, and it can help us understand our awareness process more, our cognitive behavior, and is a very, very deep level in human design. So in this video, we're only going to go through it in a very simplistic, very minimal way, but there's a whole new spectrum basically to what this can offer to us for more understanding about ourselves. And if we look at these so-called variables, there are 16 different variable combinations that are possible of either leftwards facing or rightwards facing variables, which means that some people have all of them pointing to the left, all 4 of them, which I'm the kind of, and this is called quad left. Some people have all of them facing to the right, which is called quad right. And most people have a combination of all of these different sorts of left and right variables, which means sometimes one points to the left and sometimes one points to the right. What we can already see and observe is that the more arrows we have pointing towards the left, the more strategic, the more planned, the more focused, the more structured a person is. Whereas if all of them point to the right, these are people who are more receptive, more intuitive, more in the flow. And we could call that the feminine energy without attaching it to the biological gender of someone. Whereas if all of the arrows are pointing to the left, these are more masculine energies that a person embodies in this way. And I definitely resonate with that. I'm very strategic, I'm very focused. I mean, I'm also German and I'm Capricorn, but I'm definitely very strategic and focused, and a lot in my capacity of my brain and everything, more in my masculine. So you can already check for yourself. Are you maybe also a combination of these two? And we will look deeper now what the different parts of these area of the arrows are. So if you look at the top left arrow, this is your digestion, or how you take in food, how you take in information, and how you digest it, how you digest life basically, which is connected to our digestion, our diet, but also in the way that we perceive the world. And a lot of apps or a lot of calculators will show you exactly what, or give you an explanation of what your ideal digestion is, but it's usually very, let's say, simple. There is much, much more to it. And if you want to know and find out yours with a detailed information, you can download my app Halo, which you find on the App Store or Google Store, and the link is down below. So this describes how we take in life or food or information or energy, which means if you have it facing to the left-hand side, you will be a very active or strategic person when it comes to this field of your life. Meaning you go really well having a structured eating plan, having regular meals, taking in life in a very consistent and strategic way. For example, planning out the things in your day, going on a very strict day-by-day approach, but also how you focus on individuals, meaning you have a one-on-one focus, focusing on one thing at a time instead of everything at once. No multitasking basically. Whereas if you have the arrows facing to the right hand side, it means that you take in life in a very variable way, in a very peripheral way, in a very receptive way, meaning having a fixed structure is not ideal for you. Going with the flow, seeing when do you want to eat, what do you want to eat, maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, going in your day a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more floaty is correct for you. Also, you can perceive a lot of information at the same time, whereas people who have the arrow facing to the left hand side only focus on one thing at a time and only remember things with very specific focus, basically. So if you have it facing rightwards, you are a very intuitive, very more passive person when it comes to how you take in life, how you take in food, how you take in information, and how you go along your day. If we look at the bottom left arrow, this is about your environment. And we also always have the option that it points to the left or that it points to the right. So if you have these arrows pointing to the left-hand side, that means that you go really well being very active in your environment. And if you find yourself in your right environment, which you can also calculate with my Halo app, then you will see and notice that this environment makes you active and it gives you a lot of energy, that you will want to accomplish things, that you will want to go out and do the things. And interestingly enough, this is also linked to your perspective, which means that if you are in the right environment and it makes you active, that you will gain your right perspective in life and your awareness basically opens, or your awareness can expand. Whereas if you're not in your right environment, or when your environment takes away energy from you, your perspective will also not open up for you. Whereas if you have the arrow pointing to the right-hand side of your environment, you will notice that your right environment will make you very relaxed, and you will notice that you want to slow down in that environment and take it in and observe it. So you are going to be an observer of things that happen around you. And you will want to be a bit more passive in your environment. And again, if you are in your right environment, that will also open up the right perspective for you, an observer perspective. And that can only happen if you are correct in your environment, meaning with your physical body also. So if we look at the right-hand side of the chart, now we again see the two arrows, and this is linked to our personality, meaning our mind, which means the top of them is responsible for our motivation or our awareness, whereas the bottom of that is responsible for our perspective. And as I was mentioning just earlier, the perspective can only be clicked open if you are in your right environment. Then you will be able to see clearly what is right for you. And again, we have the options of left-facing and right-facing arrows, and the left-facing arrow is always here so you have an active perspective on the things around you. You want to have an active view on the world, whereas if it's pointing to the right, you will have a more passive view on the world and take things in a peripheral way. Basically, the things come to you, and it takes other people actually to get this information out of you, to get your perspective out. So the people who are active are great in getting information, all the knowledgeable information out of the people who are more rightwards facing. They're basically a well of information. And the same counts for the awareness part of that, which is the top right arrow, which is also connected to our motivation, the motivation why we're doing things, or the reason behind it from a mental plane, from an awareness plane. What is our awareness telling us? And there's, again, different themes about that you can all read in my Halo app, which this is specifically for you. But if it is pointing to the left, you have a very active motivation to do the things on your own, to go out and do the things. The motivation is actually linked to your digestion, which means that only if you eat right for yourself, that only if you take in life in the way that is correct for you, your motivation will unlock for you, your motivation will open for you. So these two are linked. So as we can see, everything starts with the right digestion and with the right environment. And that's where also our mental plane can follow, and our mental plane can open up to give us more perspective on the world and give us awareness and give us motivation from a mental plane to do the things that we want to do. And if you have it facing to the right, again, you will be a bit more passive when it comes to your motivation. And it needs other people to trigger you out in your motivation, to get into the world, to share your perspective, to mentally understand the things. So it is always necessary that, first of all, we have the body in place in, as I said, the right digestion, the right environment, and that will unlock the other side. And if you are tending to being more right-facing Eros, meaning more passive, it always needs other people in order to get the information out of you. And you will notice that generally you're more of a floaty type, you're more of a relaxed type, you're taking in a lot, you're sensing a lot, you're taking in the world basically on all these different levels, on these different planes, and therefore you're more in the so-called feminine side of things. So this was just a very short introduction on what the variables mean, the Eros, and if you want to learn more about the environment or digestion, then you can check out the videos that I've recorded on that on each single environment. And as I said, my readings are in offer at the moment for €122. So book them on my website if you want to have personal guidance, and I can only suggest that because that's the only way you can actually bring all of the components of your chart together in a holistic reading. And I'm very intuitive, so I always see also what could happen for you, right? Job opportunities, living situations, etc. So get in touch if you want to hear more about that. With that being said, I'm sending you so much love, and bye. See you next time.